Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Tayside Valuation Joint Board. I'd like to remind the Joint Board the public part of this meeting will be recorded and placed on the Valuation Joint Board's website for public viewing. So keep your microphones on mute throughout the meeting unless you're speaking, please. And I'd now ask the clerk to take us through the agenda.
Thank you. I'll start by taking the roll call. Councillor Black. Bailey Dawson.
I'm here.
Councillor Short.
Good morning, I'm here.
Councillor Scullen.
Morning, I'm here.
Councillor Shears.
He's just trying to connect at the moment. He's just sent me a message saying that he should be just a couple of minutes.
Thank you.
I've
That's
just
noted.
made it on. I'm here. Sorry about that.
Perfect. Thank you. Bailey McPherson.
Hi, good morning, present.
Councillor Nicholl. Councillor Fotheringham.
Good morning, I'm here.
Councillor Shepherd.
Present.
Councillor Durno.
I'm here.
I've received apologies from Councillor McCall. I believe Councillor Stewart is here as a substitute. Councillor Welch. Councillor Anderson. Councillor Anderson. Oh no. Councillor Smith. And Councillor Cuthbert.
Present.
Thank you. That completes the roll call.
I'm happy to accept that Councillor Anderson's here, but can we tell him that we didn't hear him? Find out if we can get that sorted.
Okay, moving on to item 2, declarations of interest. Do any members have any declarations?
I want to know if Councillor Anderson is able to hear us and to speak to us. You are on mute. Because if he can't hear us and he can't speak to us, then he's not actually here.
Hugh, can you acknowledge that you're here, please?
You can speak now, Hugh.
You can speak now, Hugh.
Councillor Anderson, can you hear us? We're going to send an emissary to the 4th floor to see if we can get a hold of Councillor Anderson and help him get online. In the meantime, let's just continue with the meeting. Is that okay to do? It'll take me a moment to get used to the system. So,
Thank you. Item 2, declaration of interest. Do any members have any declarations? I don't see any, so we'll move on to item 3, minute of previous meeting. This is submitted for approval.
is the minute agreed? Thank you. Carry on to the next item, please.
Item 4, corporate plan and service plan 2025-2028 annual update. This is for approval.
Darrell, do you want to just give us a few words of introduction?
Yes, good morning all. This report presents the annual update to the corporate plan and service plan for the period 2025 to 2028. Plans have been reviewed and updated for 26-27 with track changes included to highlight amendments. Key updates reflect emerging legislative and operational priorities, including council tax reform proposals and changes to the electoral system. Happy to take any questions.
Do we have any questions? Councillor McPherson, would you like to speak?
Thank you. My question's in relation to the information on page 14 of the substantive page numbering in relation to the proposals for the introduction of additional council tax bands I and J. And I was wondering if at this early stage, if officers could advise if they're aware, I assume it's quite low, but the number of properties in Dundee and indeed Angus and Perth and Kinross which are affected. And has there been any indication as to whether Scottish Government will provide additional funding for the administrative work associated with these changes?
Yes, Councillor McPherson, we're just going through that scoping exercise at the moment. I don't imagine that the properties will be vast in number, but there's obviously going to have to be a lot of bringing survey records up to date and consideration of a whole load of factors. As far as the funding position goes, as I understand it, we ought to have received funding in the form of a grant this month. I've raised that with the Treasurer's team. So there is funding in place, certainly for this year. I think it's anticipated that there might be some further funding in the years ahead, possibly 2 or 3 years. We don't have that confirmed, but there has been a funding split agreed on a national basis with the Scottish Government and assessors to cover this financial year.
Thank you, that's very helpful. I'm assuming you will keep us all updated with regard to the work in relation to this going forward. I appreciate it is at an early stage.
Yes, will do.
Thanks.
Do we have any more questions? This report. And Councillor Anderson, I can't see you, but are you there?
Oh, well.
Right, try it.
What? Said I'm all right to speak.
Yes, are you
Alive and well? Yes.
Good, we can hear you and we can see you, so that's wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
If there are no more questions, can we move on to the next item? Is the report agreed? I should have said. Thank you.
Agreed.
Thank you. That takes us to item 5, risk management and business continuity, and this is for noting.
So again, are there any questions on risk management? It's something we've discussed and we were kind of told to look at by our auditors. Yep, Darrell, go ahead.
Yeah, so just to summarise, the report presents the assessor's annual update on risk management and business continuity arrangements and includes the implementation of a revised risk appetite framework following internal audit recommendations, The strategic risk register has been streamlined to focus on a smaller number of high-level organisational risks, improving clarity and strengthening board oversight with clear alignment to corporate planning and governance. One risk is currently assessed as marginally outside appetite, reflecting ongoing workforce pressures, mitigations in place and under active review. The business continuity and disaster recovery arrangements remain in place and are subject to routine review with only minor administrative updates during the year. Detailed plans are maintained separately. Happy to take any questions.
Fraser, you've got a question, I think.
Yeah, it's in relation to the information on page 49 about the risk being insufficient workforce capacity, resilience and skills impacts delivery of services. And I was just really wondering, given that it alludes to a limited supply of qualified surveyors, I was just really wondering if there are any issues, because we've had similar discussions in our own local authority about the age profile of the workforce, given the significant number of people who are 40 and in fact perhaps 50 plus and will retire at some point in the future, and the need, frankly, to, if you like, backfill with new, young and enthusiastic people who will come along to replace, will be the managers of the future. And I was just really wondering, what is the age profile within the evaluation function, and are there any concerns around that, given as people retire, frankly, a lot of experience and knowledge walks out the door with them?
Yeah, I don't have the figures to hand just now, but in sort of kind of general terms, the picture's broadly similar to the picture that you painted yourself. We do have a number of key staff approaching within 2 to 3 years of retirement age. So that's not necessarily to say that folk will retire, but it would present a problem if people en masse were to leave at one time. We do have a significant number of trainees as well, and we have successfully operated that model. So yeah, that's the primary driver for including it as a risk, was the demographic of the current workforce.
That's very helpful. Could I maybe ask off table if a breakdown of the sort of age profile could be circulated to members of the joint board?
Yeah, absolutely. I refresh those figures annually, so happy to do so.
Very helpful, thank you.
I just look at my screen. It seems to change to just to the normal all my emails and things. I've lost the picture or any contact with.
Councillor Anderson, can we just point out that we can hear you talking on the phone to your broker or whoever it is? Have you muted you must have muted yourself, I guess. Good. We have a question from Councillor Short.
Sorry, Jimmy. You're on the ball this morning. I wondered, Darryl, we've woken up this morning to some quite incredible news about Transport Scotland. And I know that there is a sort of a move towards, shall we say, changes to public sector. Is that something that should be put within a risk register? I know that within the risk register, you have indicated that there are strong relationships with the Scottish Government, but there's also obviously, I would imagine, a thought there.
Councillor Short, it's kind of you to say that I'm on the ball, but I'm so far off the ball, I have no idea what you're talking about with Transport Scotland. What are you saying? Can you just explain it all for us?
Yeah, of course. So the mood music is that there is quite a bit of public spending that needs to go. The Scottish Government have indicated that that might be the case. Now, my understanding is that the body that is Transport Scotland and the various quangos that do sit below that will be impacted by this. This is the first, I think, major sort of area where there's going to be that indication. So I'm just wondering from a risk appetite point of view, this is obviously a joint body, but does that joint body feel that there should be an intervention at the risk register, that there may be a change in the system? For example, Perth and Kinross and Angus already outsource their elections to the joint board, but Dundee City Council do not. Therefore, you know, is it within the risk register of a world where the joint board does not exist, and how would that be mitigated? That's my question.
Darrell, I know that's it's kind of come out of the blue, but could you answer, Councillor Short?
I can just reflect that financial sustainability is a risk already within the risk register. So that's at page 50 of the bundled documents, and it's noted as SR4. So we do identify that financial sustainability is a risk. It's currently been assessed as a low risk appetite, but this is a living document, so I suppose it's incumbent on us to consider any changes that might affect our current position on that risk, I suppose. So yeah, we'll keep a watching brief on that.
Yeah, thanks, Darrell. I suppose that does indicate the question, that the conversations that you do indicate, it's probably a good idea to raise something like that. So I appreciate that maybe we need to just kind of keep it in the back pocket and be aware of it.
Thanks, Lynn, for raising that. I think that's something we need to be aware of, so thank you. Any more questions on this report? I'm not seeing any, so can the report be noted?
Item 6, internal audit. This is for noting.
Yes, so this report presents the internal audit reports issued during 25-26. Overall, internal audit has concluded that the board has adequate and effective arrangements for risk management, control and governance, with no significant issues identified. All review work has resulted in good or satisfactory levels of assurance, confirming that the core systems are operating effectively. This year also reflects strong progress against previous audits, with follow-up recommendations fully implemented. I'm happy to take any questions, and I'm aware, I think, that Steve McNaught, the internal auditor, is also on the call today.
Mr. McNaught, would you like to say anything about the audit before we ask for questions?
No, nothing from me, thanks.
No, okay. Any questions from members? I'm not seeing any. Can I say that it's very pleasing to have such a good audit, a good clean audit. So well done to Darrell and the staff. Hope the rest of the members of the committee would agree with me there. Okay, in that case, sorry, on you go.
No, I just wanted to agree with you there. I think I'm very impressed with the controls in place with the Valuation Joint Board. So congratulations to your team.
Thank you. I'll pass those on.
So is the report noted? Do we agree to note the report? I think we do. Can we move on to the next slide?
Thank you. That takes us to item 7, local code of corporate governance, and the board is asked to agree the recommendations.
And I think we want Darrell to introduce this report.
Yeah, so this report presents the annual review of the local code of corporate governance. The review indicates a high level of compliance with established governance principles, supported by strong performance against the assessment framework. I'm happy to take any questions.
Do we have any questions? No questions. So can we agree the report? Next item, please.
Item 8, Annual Governance Statement for the year to the 31st of March 2026. The board is asked to agree the recommendations.
Where is Michael?
I'm here. Yep, so the annual governance statement has been prepared under Section 5 of the Local Authority Accounts Scotland Act, and it sets out the report that's to be included within the annual accounts. You'll see that at the bottom of the report we have the tables for the continuous improvement agenda, which are the same agenda items that appear in appendices 2 and 3 of the Local Code of Corporate Governance.
You want to say some more, or is?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So it's the standard the standard annual governance statement that goes into the annual accounts, which sets out the governance standards of the board, and we're asking you to approve the report for inclusion within the accounts.
Do any members have any questions about this? Not seeing any questions. Oh. Councillor Shepherd, please go ahead.
Thanks, convener. It's on page 112. It just says rewrite of IT systems to bring in line with modern coding practices. Then it has later there longer term project at initiation and scoping stage. It just sounded that like they're actually as if they're what does it mean exactly by bringing it into line with modern coding practices? Is the stuff out of date, or are they actually coding it to bring it up to date? I just wanted a bit more detail on helping me understand that if possible. Thanks.
I think it's a good question. Who would like to answer that?
Yeah.
Darryl.
It's simply to highlight that one of the core systems that we rely upon is an in-house and inbuilt system, which was written in dated coding language, which is not a problem just now because we've got staff who are well accustomed with that language, but it's more for bringing it into the modern times. And at one stage or another, it was felt that our hand might be forced on that in terms of compliance with various cyber security audits, but on additional advice that might not be the case, but we're working through that at the moment, so it's certainly just to highlight it at this stage.
Does that reassure Councillor Shepherd?
Yeah, that's actually the level of detail I was looking for now that I understand that we're talking about coding that's done in-house, because a lot of it is third-party supplied nowadays, so I found that quite an interesting point to pick up. So yeah, that explanation, that explains it perfectly for me that that's in-house coding, so thanks very much. Yeah, thank you.
I think the whole area of IT systems and systems that you have in-house and systems that you buy in and cybersecurity is of crucial importance. And I think that Darryl is well aware of that and is on top of it. But I think it's a really, really important area that we should keep an eye on as time goes on. And look for new initiatives as required. Okay. Can this report be agreed? Can we have the next item of business, please?
Item 9, Unaudited Accounts for the year ended 31st of March 2026. This is for noting.
Any questions on these? Are we wanting them introduced? Michael, would you like to say something about the accounts?
Yep, so the accounts have now been prepared, ready for audit. We had originally budgeted to use £138,000 of general reserves, but the actual outturn has been a positive result. We're only using £65,000. That's been a combination of being able to manage some of the spend, particularly around staff costs, and also due to some funding we've received in respect of the postal voting services. We've also said, so we've got a usable general fund uncommitted balance of £187,000 in total. General fund balances of £226,000 at the end of the year. The report also sets out details of the £23,000 of capital spend, and gives some narrative around the IAS 19 employee benefits disclosures as well.
Thanks. Darrell, do you want to add anything to what's been said?
No, nothing, but happy to take any questions that arise from the commentary.
So, do we have any questions? Yes. Who are you pointing at? Oh, yeah, I see. Councillor Durno. Go ahead.
Right, thanks, Chair. Yeah, it was on the page 130. Obviously, you've got staff costs of underspend of 65,000. Just wondered if we are actively recruiting for somebody for that post for this year. And also we've got supplies overspend by 32,000, and I just wondered what supplies that was, because obviously everybody's working from home. And the transport costs overspend, was that due to the price of fuel? Obviously, if you're going out speaking to people, wondering rateable values, etc., out and about. So it was just some clarity, really. Just a query, wondering what those things were. That's the if you can have a new member of staff for the underspend and the 65,000, and what the supplies were, and around about the transport. Just a wee query there. Thank you.
Yeah, happy to take those in turn. So the staff cost underspend doesn't necessarily kind of suggest that that's an individual vacancy. That can be impacted by a number of factors like staff long-term absence, where we're not having to pay the full salary and things like that. And there was an active effort to suspend recruitment of one of the posts to try and claw back a bit of mitigation of an underestimate of the pay award in previous years. So that kind of maybe explains that for you. Supplies and services is probably quite a broad scope there. So what we're talking about specifically is our electro IT licenses and our central support recharges, both of which have increased. But these are exacerbated within the presentation of the accounts, insofar as they were historically kind of budgeted lower than what we were actually paying and being propped up by other budget lines. So we've kind of taken steps and measures within the January budget to bring that more in line with actual spend. So I'm hoping that we wouldn't see as profound overspends on those budget lines at the moment, but it does reflect additional charges. For example, some of the local authorities are charging for access to their internal IT systems and stuff like that. So these are charges that weren't there before, and obviously increases year on year in regards to the services that we receive from constituent authorities in terms of clerking, finance, HR support, etc. And finally, yeah, you've hit the nail on the head with transport costs. It's just that budget line had significantly reduced during COVID, and we're back to now more traditional ways of working, albeit with an emphasis on trying to do anything we can digitally on desktop.
That's great, thanks. Obviously, another thing about the transport is, do the transport take into the fact that some of the people have got electric cars, or is the transport costs just fuel, etc.? Can that be minimised, or is that just what it is at the moment?
I'm not actually sure if any staff use an electric car for purposes, but it's all set up out within. We're aligned with Dundee City Council in regards to what's paid, and I think that itself is aligned with HMRC bands. So I don't actually know if there's a different banding for electric versus petrol. I would need to come back to you on that one, but I am aware that there's some changes afoot in terms of what HMRC bands and recommendations are in any case.
Is that a good answer to your questions? Thanks. It's interesting, actually, if whether we don't know whether our staff are using electric cars or not. The Valuation Board, like every other public body, has a duty to try and minimise fossil fuel usage. So I don't know if there's any kind of encouragement we can give to staff, or whether there is a policy already which allows some kind of incentive to use electric transport rather than transport that's powered by diesel or petrol. But that's something we can maybe look into between meetings. So any more questions in this report? No more. In that case, can we agree the report? And thank you, Councillor Durno, for your questions. Can we agree the report?
Thanks. That takes us to item 10, External Audit Annual Audit Plan 2025-26. This is for noting.
Is anyone here to introduce the External Audit Annual Audit Plan? Michael.
We have Joni McBride and Mark Johnson here from Audit Scotland out, so I will hand over to them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to make some introductory remarks?
Yes, I can do. Firstly, I just wanted to introduce myself. So my name is Joni McBride and I am the new engagement lead for the audit of the Valuation Joint Board. So I've recently taken over from Fiona in the last couple of weeks. So Fiona and I have had a handover process, and it's also worth noting that Mark and Ailey as the core team are consistent and will remain consistent for the year. So this should provide some reassurance around the audit. My appointment as the engagement lead will be for the remainder of this year and for next year, as Audit Scotland go into our rotation process at the end of next year. So I look forward to getting to know the board and working with officers. And I'm pleased to present our annual audit report for 25-26. I'll take the report mostly as read, but I'll draw your attention to a few key points if that's okay. The paper sets out our planned approach to the audit, including our scope, responsibilities, materiality levels and the timetable. And as in previous years, our work will cover the audit of the financial statements, a conclusion on financial sustainability and the consideration of best value arrangements. In terms of our audit focus, we've identified as the standard significant risk of management override of controls. This cannot be rebutted and it's standard across all audits, so you'll see that in all audit plans. And alongside that, we have the evaluation of the pension asset or liability, which is an area requiring significant judgment. I would also request that should members be aware of any actual suspected or alleged fraud, that we invite them to bring these to our attention now or at any point over the course of the audit. Our audit is planned broadly in line with the prior years, with a completion date in November 2026, which has been discussed and agreed with finance officers to ensure audit quality is prioritised. There are no further issues to highlight at this stage, and as the details set out in the report, I'm happy to take any questions, and hopefully Mark will keep me right if there's anything more detailed that I'm not quite fully aware of yet. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and welcome to this part of your work. Are there any questions to anyone? Not seeing any questions from any members of the committee. Okay. Should we want to contact you directly or individual members with a report of fraud? Not that I'm suggesting that there is any. How do we do that?
Well, I'm happy to contact you via email. If you want to contact me via email, or Mark or Ailey would also be available on email if that was needed, or if you wanted to email to arrange a Teams meeting, that would also be okay. I think my email should be on the distribution list for the meeting, so it should be in there. I think that members would have access to that. If not, it would be able to be provided, I think, from Laura.
Okay, thank you very much. We're noting this report according to my briefing. So is the report noted? Do we agree to note the report? Yeah. Okay. Next item of business, please.
Thank you. That takes us on to item 11, tender approval for hybrid mail service. The board is asked to agree the recommendations.
Well, Darrell, what is a hybrid mail service and why are we approving a tender for it?
Yeah, so this is in relation to all of our print and postage arrangements, along with kind of our digital engagement strategy. Predominantly, a large part of this is within the electoral registration function, but it does extend to council tax and valuation as well. So I'm happy to introduce the report. This essentially presents the outcome of a procurement exercise and seeks approval to award the contract for the managed hybrid mail service. The proposed approach is a direct award via an established public sector framework, providing a compliant and proportionate route to procurement while maintaining continuity of service. The recommended supplier is assessed as competitive and capable of meeting operational requirements, with costs based on recent usage and opportunities for efficiency through increased use of digital communications. So the report is presented today for approval.
So I see we've got one or two questions. Councillor McPherson first.
Thanks, Chair. As Darrell indicated, this is a direct award using a national framework agreement. Colleagues on Dundee City Council will be aware that I've raised concerns in our own authority about the transparency of such procurement frameworks. And so I suppose it's about how this is presented to the public. How do we actually prove we got value for money for the taxpayer? And so I suppose my questions, Darrell, are how many suppliers are in this portal for services and solutions framework? How many suppliers were benchmarked, and was a mini competition perhaps considered in this case?
Yeah, happy to take that on board. I think we liaise closely with Dundee City Council procurement team on this, and the advice was that the option to direct award was available to us. Notwithstanding that, we considered the pool of other suppliers within the framework, of which I believe there were around 20 or so. And by dealing with the framework directly, we were able to obtain cost comparisons. So we already did a cost benchmarking exercise, which established that the supplier that's preferred was representing value for money. In reality, I think only 2 suppliers actually provide specialist electoral print and mail postage services to the 15 EROs across Scotland. So our supplier that we're with, I think, does all but 3 or 4 of those, if that. So it's an established supplier within the framework. So although there was 20 comers in the pool, in terms of the speciality and continuity of service, we were satisfied that we're proceeding on the correct basis.
Okay, thanks for that. I suppose my issue is around presentation. I think we have to be able to show the public that there has been value, and some of the information you've given there actually assists in that regard. And I'm just really wondering if we can give some consideration to how we present this information, so that we, through the papers, can show that the best possible value for money was actually achieved. When it just says it's a direct award, I'm not sure we're convincing the public that we are actually getting value for money. So it's not an issue that I haven't already raised in my own authority. I think there's a real need to show that had we gone out to competitive tender in the old-fashioned, but frankly perhaps more publicly obvious, if you like, way in terms of being able to verify best value, I think it's useful to ensure that in the report we give that evidence to just convince the public that in awarding this we've got the best value for money for them.
Fraser, I tend to agree with you. I think that it would be good to add a few lines for future exercises, and I think I'm not suggesting we change anything today, but for future exercises, just to explain how the framework works, just a short note, because I think you're right, it's not clear to the public why this is a good way of obtaining best value or the best service. So yeah, I sympathise with with your remarks. Councillor Shepherd, you've got a question.
Thanks, convener. Yeah, it's more on like what are we doing just now? Is this basically a change of provider, or are we moving to take this? This is something we do internally, and we're no longer going to. It's my first term on the joint valuation board, so just want to make that sure. And I'm just a little bit worried that we're seeing Royal Mail's service, like mail's becoming more unreliable, and some of the private sector promises, are becoming a bit more what they say they'll do and what they actually do. There seems to be a difference. So, papers like this, I like to ask a bit more before I just nod them through. So if you could just bring a bit more detail for me on that, thanks.
Yeah, so this is actually an existing supplier who we're with at the moment. So, yeah, if we were to go to tender and another supplier was to win the contract, there would be disruption to services insofar as setting up all the templates and making sure that all the systems can speak to each other. So there's definitely an advantage in terms of business continuity and retaining the existing supplier, but notwithstanding that, and I take Councillor McPherson's points on board, there is some detail in the section 5 about noting that we had the benchmarking exercise, albeit not the full expansive details that might be required in future times. But I think the encouraging thing to note here is that unusually, if we base it on last year's volume supplies, we're actually getting a better deal than we were in before. So that is encouraging. So I think that is a positive, and also the continuity of service with no disruption and having to change supplier, particularly during a busy period of canvas which is approaching.
Does that answer your question, Councillor Shepherd?
Yeah, thanks, Darrell. I'll be a lot happier approving the paper now. I fully understand it's also a re-award, and yeah, so we'll have that history of using the provider before behind us as well. So yeah, I'm happy to approve. Good. Yeah, thank you.
Do we have any more questions or comments on the report? Not seeing any. In which case, can we go on to the next item of business, which is clearly the most controversial of the day?
Just want to check that we agreed the last report.
Well, I think we're agreeing to note it, which I guess is the same thing. So, yep, we agreed that report. Thank you. Okay, so item 12.
I'm agreeing to approve the directive. Thank you. That takes us to item 12. Proposed public holiday for Scotland's men's World Cup appearance, 15th of June 2026. Outcome following delegated authority. The Joint Board is asked to note that the proposed public holiday on Monday the 15th of June will not be recognised by the Tayside Valuation Joint Board.
Darrell, do you want to just explain how we handled this?
Yeah, obviously the news of the proposed bank holiday kind of didn't coincide with full meetings. Our last meeting was in February, so there was delegated authority handed to ourselves at the last meeting, and following a consultation with the convener, vice convener, spokesperson, and officers, it was decided that we would not award the holiday.
Yep. Anyone get any comments on this item? No, don't think so. I do. It was a bit of a guddle, and I guess we've wasted a bit of time as well over the whole thing. Probably because the different local authorities took different decisions, and I suppose in the joy of qualifying for the World Cup, we kind of just forgot that sometimes you take a quick decision and it turns out to be a bit of a nuisance. Anyway, Councillor Short, you want to speak?
Yeah, Jimmy, it was just to say that I was quite vociferous in trying to persuade all the different boards from Taybridge to the Tayside contracts that it would be a good idea. Some more successful than others, and it's just a bit of a case of my dad's way of working. Don't do as I do as I tell you to. And I'd just like to thank the committee services people that have obviously had to make their way up to Perth this morning, when the rest of Dundee is probably maybe a wee bit more sleepy this morning. And it is very much appreciated. And if we can pass that back to Mr. Thompson, who is obviously their ultimate line manager, that it's appreciated that they're all out doing what they're doing today. And yeah, thank you. And I am still on very much a high from Saturday evening, so I hope that those who are off are also enjoying their day off. I think we deserve it after that sensational result on Saturday night.
Thanks for that, Lynn. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to think about how we do this in future, but I suppose it's one of the disadvantages of having. There are many advantages in having 3 councils working together in a valuation joint board. I think it's a good thing, but certainly this exposed some cracks, I think. However, we did beat Haiti, and I'm going to be cheerful until after the Morocco game, when who knows how I'll feel, and we'll all feel ecstatic. I hope it will pass on. I think we can note what was done. We can thank Darrell, and we can also thank the clerks for trying to sort all of this out. And just while we're at it, we're here in Perth. This is our first meeting in Perth. I'm delighted that I was able to enter the building without difficulty this morning, which I've not always been able to do in the past in other places, and welcomed by a receptionist who was helpful. I was able to park nearby without any great bother. So I just want to say to Perth Council, thank you very much for hosting us today and for running a very efficient city. So here we go. Have we noted the report? Is this noted? And the date of next meeting. So Mark, please. Oh, yes.
Thank you. The Joint Board is asked to note that the date of the next meeting will be Monday, the 24th of August, 2026 at 9 o'clock, and this will be held in a hybrid format here in Perth and also online.
Good, and I hope to see you all in Perth at the next meeting. So can we note the date of the next meeting? That's agreed. Yep. And oh, who's speaking?
Just saying goodbye for now. Thank you.
Ah, right.
Thank you.
Gosh, Brenda, I thought you were going to raise a point of order.
No,
thought we were all here for another 20 minutes.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Bye.
Right, so good. The date of next meeting is noted, and close the meeting. I'd like to close the meeting by thanking you for your attendance today. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.